Hey guys, and welcome to part 1 of 2 of our recap for the NHL Canadian teams. Today we'll start with the Western Conference teams, and then next episode we'll talk about the Eastern Conference teams. So let's start off with Edmonton, 5-0, Connor McDavid, 13 points in 5 games. Just crazy, man.
He's playing unbelievable hockey right now.
Like you said in the main episode where he's on pace for 213 points. Do you think he'll make like 75% of that?
I think McDavid, if you haven't bet the over for 150 points yet, like
you
what the heck are you waiting
now,
for?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bet the over. 100% bet the over
on that. Bet the over for that one, yeah. And then our acquisitions of Foegele and Hyman are doing really well, especially Hyman. Like, we lost a couple decent players. Decent is a generous term of like Bouchard and Chason and some other players, but getting Hyman and just him going ham basically with Connor McDavid, and now he's playing with Nuge or he was playing with Nuge and Yamamoto, but still with just the contribution exactly. Thank you, of him on the scoring sheet. It's nice to see. Nice to see.
Yeah, and he does so much more than just points too. Hey, like Hyman is playing like he is the little Energizer bunny that's just crushing it for us right now, and you can tell that he's being missed by. You can very much tell he's being missed by Toronto. But we'll talk more about that when we go to the Eastern teams, right? But so, yeah, I mean, Edmonton is the perfect start. I mean, you can't really disagree with that at all. I think we got lucky to beat Vancouver the way that we started. Yes. I think Vegas was a very a poor showing in the first period and to start each period, but they came back and
I was happy they squeaked by Anaheim because that was definitely a must-win game for sure. But we barely
made it. Yeah, Anaheim's a much better team than I thought they would. They have such young, strong players. It's just impressive. But yeah, it's been it's a perfect start for the Oilers, man. I've been very happy with it. I can't really. If you're upset with the Oilers 5-0 start, then literally get the heck out of this fan base, man. Nobody wants you here.
They have played pretty sloppy, but a win's a win.
100%.
A win is a win.
Listen, so. you can critique their play 100%.
Right.
I think it's very valid that you can critique the Vancouver game. We squeaked a win out there, which was fantastic. But in years past, we would not have won those at all.
No, we would just crumple and just let them beat us 6-1 afterwards if we were down.
Yeah, or even just an awful start against a pretty bad start against Vegas too, where they came out strong. And Vegas was a depleted lineup. They had 4 stars out, and we only have 1 goalie out right now. That's really our only injury news that we have.
I'm surprised with Koskinen though.
Genuinely shocked.
Yes.
Yeah, he's played well, man. He's kept us in it every single game. Came up with some huge saves. From my understanding, his better play is just because he's in a better mental health state, which is huge. As a goalie, it's 50% mental, 50% physical. If we're going to be really honest, if not more mental than physical. But I've been really happy with that. So far in the season. I think we'll get a couple tests this week. I think the Vancouver game away is going to be a big test.
Philadelphia
can be a big test because they got some really good players there too, but we're playing them at home, so that's lucky because we can get our matchups however we want it.
We do have a somewhat big gap between last game and Phillies.
Yeah, and game, the boys are out in a boys weekend, hey?
Yeah,
right now.
No, I heard,
But and then another one too another thing too in regards to the Oilers is our third line production.
Yes,
they scored 4 of the 5 games and 3 of the first 5 of the 5 first goals this season for us.
I think big surprise from last year for sure, Zach Kassian.
Yep.
Now he has 3 goals, which is 1 more than what he got last year, I believe.
Yeah. Zach Kassian had 2 goals all of last year, and he matched that in 1 game.
Yeah, right? So I'm surprised about that for sure. And then up and coming, Evan Bouchard. He's
pretty much won the first pair job right
now. Basically, yeah. Basically. I'm excited to watch him develop again, or not again, but like keep developing into like definitely a first pairing defenseman for our team at least.
Yeah, I think him and Broberg are the top pairing of the future for this team.
Well, that's gonna be really.
Actually, correction, sick. Broberg is gonna have to be the second pairing because Darnell Nurse is making $9 million.
No, but still, like Broberg coming up and Bouchard just playing really well right now.
Can we talk about how good Nurse has been too? Nurse and Keith have been really they've made mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, right? But they've played really well. Nurse is a legit number one defenseman now.
Oh yeah.
I don't think there's much. I mean, he still makes his mistakes, but he's so focused on improving himself that he's like, he's really turned into a top defenseman in this league. So that's been really cool to see for sure. So I don't know if we actually mentioned this earlier, but do you know what team has the most Canadians on it in the league? It's the Oilers.
Or is it?
The Oilers, I think they have either 16 or 18 Canadians in their 23
I was
roster.
thinking of diverse, but I don't think 16 Canadians in one team is diverse.
No, but I mean, we have like Draisaitl, Yamamoto, Ryan, Koskinen. They're all not Canadian.
Yeah.
Really, that's it.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
No, that's nuts.
Like Smith, Skinner, both Canadian. Nurse, Bouchard, Barry, Cuckoo, Russell. Ceci, Keith. Our defense is entirely Canadian.
Yep. And then we have McDavid.
Nuge, Hyman. Oh, yes, he's not Canadian. I forgot about him.
Well, no, he's Finnish.
Yeah. He's finishing pretty damn nice this year,
right?
too.
No, that's another player that is like just surprising.
I'm so happy with these guys. Anyway, so that's it. What is in the Western Conference your biggest surprise right now? Not just Canadian teams, okay? Just your biggest surprise in the Western Conference entirely.
In Western Conference?
Yeah.
Good question.
I'll start with mine.
Okay, you start.
The Hawks. Genuinely shocked that they started off so poor. Again, barely started the season. It's not anywhere close to even halfway mark or a quarter way mark. Heck, even the 10th of the way mark. But I'm shocked, man. I genuinely, they'll get better because they have like a ton of leadership in that team. Like how much cup experience do they have and all that kind of stuff. But that is what to me is the most shocking one. Earlier we said that we might have made a mistake in excluding Taze from the Team Canada roster, but the way he's playing right now isn't there. But he didn't play all last year, so he has to get his feet back from underneath him. I think that'll be one. And then Flower is playing himself out of the starting position for Team Canada as well.
Which sucks because I picked him in
playing himself in.
Yeah, I know that's good I'm happy for Jari because he's a former Oil King, so I'm happy for that. But yeah, I'm super surprised for Flower, and it sucks because I picked him in our fantasy.
Yeah,
and he's not doing anything.
So that was by far my biggest, I would say, negative surprise coming out of the West is the Hawks. Like they're doing really poor right now, dude. Again, it's nowhere close to it, but they're second last in the entire NHL right now.
My surprise in the West is probably the San Jose Sharks.
San Jose
Sharks going 4-0 to start the season.
Yeah, starting off 4-0, absolutely.
That's crazy because everyone thought like they didn't have the offense. Like I guess they do kind of still have the defense with Burns and Carlson. But like their goaltending and their offense, everyone thought not as good as like previous years, and because of Vander Kane being who he is and being in trouble, like he was their best player last year, and now he's gone for 21 games, maybe even longer, depending on what happens.
I don't think he ever plays another game.
I don't think so either. But
for the Sharks.
For the Sharks, no.
I like that, man. I really like it. I think the Sharks are a nice and pleasant surprise. Yeah, I don't think they keep it going though.
No,
I still think they're a bottom 3 team in the Pacific.
But for now, it's like get all the points you can get because it'll help you in the
100%
long run. Yeah,
100%. It's so tough to get into the playoffs if you're not in a playoff spot within like the November-December mark. Unless you're the St. Louis Blues.
Yes.
But it's a lot tougher. Statistically speaking, it is a lot tougher, right? Yeah, I would completely agree with that. I definitely think that the Sharks are a nice, pleasant surprise.
Another surprise, I would probably say, even though it is just the start of the season and they are riddled with injuries, is the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be...
That's another surprise, I would say.
Mm-hmm. No, I absolutely agree with that. I mean, they have 4 key injuries right now. Their captain's gone just day to day, not too long. Pacioretty's out for 6 weeks. Tuck is out for out for 3 months, I think. And then Martinez is out day to day as well.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's tough for them for sure.
Like I said, better get as much points as you can at the beginning, and they're not really doing that.
I agree.
So they only played 4 games, and everyone else played roughly like 5-6 games. So still a long time, but still, it's just got to start winning, or else it'll be harder. You can't pull St. Louis Blues. It's impossible to pull St. Louis Blues.
It's been done once.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, once to be last in the NHL and then come back to win the cup that same year. I don't think it's ever actually been done. Unless it's like the original 6, so it's like everybody made the playoffs.
That doesn't count.
Yeah. Right. Anyways, my pleasant surprise, I would say, is the Wild.
Yes.
Wild is...
my third favorite team. Let's go.
But they're being impressive, man. Like, I thought they had the goaltending.
Impressed with freaking Talbot. Like, he's starting to play like 2017 Talbot.
Talbot's been unreal. And then they have a backup in Kakinen who's unreal, too.
Yep. Very good backup.
They've got a strong... I honestly... You know what scares me for the Wild, though? They have, like, $14 million in dead cap space the next few years because of their buyouts. Or, like, actually, I think it's more than that. I think it's well over that.
Do they have more buyouts besides those 2?
No, those 2 alone is like...
No, I think it's like 14, 15, yeah.
50, yeah, around there.
Yeah.
So that's going to kill them because it's like 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, of like that. But if they're doing well now, I don't know. They don't have a number 1 center in my opinion, but that's pleasantly surprised with them. And it's not easy wins that they had. It's not like they played Arizona every game. Yeah, I'm not shocked at all about Arizona. They haven't won a game yet. They scored 8 total goals in their 5 games. They have an OT loss. Like, good for them, man.
1 point. Same with Chicago. 1 point.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, man. Like, they're not a good team, but
another surprise, I would say, even though I know this is a Canadian podcast. I guess there is some Canadians on the team. Colorado having a tough start, but
but I'm also not. I am, but I'm not. They had COVID to start the season, so McKinnon hasn't actually played all the time either. He's missed a few games. And their depth is really being tested right now. Really being tested, which right now it doesn't look like it's going too great. But they've also had some tough opposition, man. They played some tough teams. Like, they've played Washington. They played against the Blues, who are having an exceptional start to the season. Like, yeah, I think we just take it with a grain of salt. But I would agree, like, Colorado, and I thought they were going to be by far the best team in the West. And I still think they're going to be the best team in the West, if we're going to be honest. But we'll see how it goes.
Going back to Canadian teams, since this is a Canadian podcast, Vancouver's doing pretty decent.
Yeah, Vancouver, and again, all their games on the road, it makes it even more impressive for me.
Yes, I agree.
So it's I'm thoroughly impressed with them. They're doing. I think it's a good team, but if these guys get any injuries in their back end, they're screwed. This defense is not very deep, like, honestly, at all. Their goaltending is hanging in there, which is really good. Thatcher Demko, I've mentioned this before. I think he can be a top 10 goalie in the league.
And then very good backup as
Halak is one of the better backups in the league right now, and I don't think it's a question. Yeah, so I couldn't agree more. Vancouver's doing pretty well.
Yeah, doing pretty well for what they have.
And then you have Calgary. Calgary is fourth, but
they can keep losing. They can.
I'm okay with that.
They can keep losing. It's okay.
But they're doing decent, man. Their goaltending's hanging in there. Their defense is probably their strength, and the forwards are scoring enough goals to, like, keep them in it somehow. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But this isn't. I stick by it. I think this is a 4th or 5th place team in the Pacific. I think I had them in 5th. And honestly, I only think 3 teams make it out of the Pacific. I think the Central is just way too deep.
No, it's only 3 teams in the Pacific, and then everyone else is from Central, definitely. The Pacific is probably the weakest division.
But you know what, too? I'm shocked at the placements right now. It's
right
4
now,
or 5 games into the season, right? But like LA started off pretty decent. Anaheim starting off with some good games. Like
San Jose, like we said, is just...
Mind you, San Jose has not played a very strong opposition quite yet. They've started on the road trip, really. They won their first game, and I think they're on the road the last 3. They shut out Montreal 5-0. They're currently, right now, at the moment of recording, playing against Boston, down 3-1 in the first, after the first.
San Jose?
San Jose. So that streak is coming to an end.
Yeah, so, yeah.
What do you think the last... So you have currently 4 undefeated teams in the West. Who is the last team?
In the West?
Who's going to be the last team to lose a game? Who's going to be the last team with an undefeated record?
If we can get past Philadelphia, I'd say us. If we get past Philadelphia and maybe Vancouver, I think it can be us. We can probably go pretty far if we get past those 2. Besides us, I would probably say maybe... I'd say the way they're playing, maybe Minnesota.
So Minnesota...
I like St. Louis, but Minnesota is probably my... Besides us, would be my guess.
Yeah. So Minnesota... Because I'm looking like... I would think the safe bet is the Oilers just because we don't play until Wednesday. So just statistically speaking, we have 0% chance of losing if we're not playing.
Yeah.
All right. But so then like the Minnesota plays 2 games between us having a game, and not one against away in Vancouver. That's one of the games. The Blues also aren't, or they play the Kings tomorrow, on Monday.
That should be a win for them.
It should. I honestly think, and then they play the Avalanche.
The Blues?
Minnesota plays, yeah. Okay, I'm going to be homer here, man. I think Oilers.
Statistically speaking,
us and Minnesota. Because the Wild play Vancouver the day before we play Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm thinking either Edmonton or Minnesota will be the last undefeated teams in the West. And I think they can both keep it up for a while. Minnesota plays against Vancouver and then the Kraken. And then Edmonton plays against Philadelphia and then Vancouver. So that'll be a tough one. But I digress. We'll talk more about that obviously a little bit later on. And then lastly, we'll touch base on the Winnipeg Jets too.
All right.
We talked about Edmonton, Calgary, and Vancouver. So we might as well talk about the Jets. They're in 4th.
Yep.
Not bad. In a very strong Central Division.
Yes. But
then they're missing Scheifele.
Season is young too, so
Scheifele hasn't played a game yet. I think that's like the heart of the team. I think that's the whole reason they got swept in the playoffs last year is because they didn't have Scheifele. He is just so underrated on how good of a player he is and a leader too. The next we have like Wheeler's out with COVID protocol, if I'm not mistaken. Their goalie, like Hellebuck's played okay. Their defense is shown that they're strong. They've really bolstered that defense, which has been really impressive. So
with the acquisition of Schmidt.
Yeah, they made 3 big additions, so that was pretty huge. But we'll see, man. We'll see how it goes. I think the Jets are playing quite well right now. Again, they're finishing. I think I put them 3rd or 4th in the Central. Regardless, they're a playoff team.
Yeah, like we said, Central is going to get the 2 wild card spots. So
I'm thinking 3 Canadian teams make it to the playoffs out of the West. 3 or 4.
Yes.
I don't think Calgary does.
No.
I don't think they're a good enough team.
No.
And then, honestly, it would have to be a wild card team, right? They'd have to make it as a wild card team because I don't think they're better than Vegas, Vancouver, or Edmonton.
No.
And that's going to be tough because I don't think they're better than any of the Central teams with the exception of Arizona. Honestly, that Central Division is so such a powerhouse. Like, unbelievable how good that division is, man.
Like right now, I guess not that much with Nashville and Chicago, but like we said, season's young.
That's not how it's going to finish.
No.
And I think the 2 worst teams in that division are Nashville and Arizona.
Yeah.
Arizona will finish last. Nashville will be second last. But then you have Dallas, Minnesota, St. Louis, Winnipeg, Colorado, Chicago. All 6 of those teams will be, I think the last wild card spot will not be clinched until the very last day of the season because just how strong those. It'll be. I don't really see the difference in points between second and sixth. I think will be the same difference in points between third and fourth in the Pacific.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, which mathematically makes sense because that's how wild card works. So, anyway, that's all we'll touch base on the West this week. Next week we'll have some different midweek episodes, but I think we'll try to do this every couple weeks to do a full recap, just 5-6 games in, just to see how they're doing,
every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We come
probably
back
we'll do a little more organized next time though. This is a little bit everywhere.
That's fun.
Yeah,
just off the cuff.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So, thank you everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in a couple of days with the East.
Bye.